My name is William P Treacy. I told you in video number 2 that I would let you know about the Taoiseach involvement in my horrific case. And I wrote to the Taoiseach. I was in correspondence with the Taoiseach in 2010 before he was the Taoiseach. And I was in correspondence with Andrew Dial, Fine Gael TD, who wrote on my case for 9 solid months in 2010, ending up with a letter from Andrew Dial to Minister Brendan Smith on the 19th of 11th, 2011. Andrew Dial, who is now the chairman of the Justice Committee on Agriculture, wrote to Minister Brendan Smith on that date, the 19th of January 2011, and he called at the bottom of that letter for a full investigation into my case. That investigation was never initiated afterward, was never followed up on, and certainly was never carried out. And I've been writing to Andrew Dial as chairman of the Justice Committee on Agriculture for 4 years. I told you I'd talk about the Taoiseach, and on the 19th of April 2011, the Taoiseach and the Kenny asked me to correspond directly with his Castlebar office, Tucker Street, Castlebar, County Mayo, for ease of reference. Well, little did I know what that was really all about. Later, Minister Coveney wrote a letter the 12th of May 2011. Minister Coveney said in that letter that he had no jurisdiction, no responsibilities, no role where the racehorse industry was concerned. And I was shocked that a minister would write such a statement and such statements. That letter was dated the 12th of May. The following day, the 13th of May 2011, the Taoiseach and the Kenny wrote me a letter, included his own Minister Simon Coveney's 2-page letter dated the 12th, the day before. The Taoiseach says, therefore, I would be grateful if you may evaluate its contents. This is the Taoiseach of our country asking me, the victim, to evaluate, and he'd be grateful, the contents of his own Minister Simon Coveney's 2-page letter dated the 12th of May 2011. I did evaluate it. I told the Taoiseach, Minister Coveney got it wrong. I was either one of two things I told the Taoiseach actually. I told the Taoiseach either Minister Simon Coveney was involved in public money wrongdoing and cover-up of evidence, or officials in his department were deliberately misleading him and deceiving him as regards his true, accurate statutory responsibilities. So the Taoiseach and the Kenny asked me, the victim, to evaluate. I have since been proved to be 100% correct with my evaluation and Minister Coveney's evaluation. My God, ask yourself this question, Irish people, Irish citizens, Irish taxpayer. A minister to say he has no jurisdiction, no responsibility and no role. My answer to that is this. Since 2001, hundreds of millions of public money has been given to horse racing in Ireland. That gives a hell of a lot of jurisdiction to any minister and to the Taoiseach and the Kenny. And they'd all given evidence of wrongdoing. So, I told you I would talk about the Attorney General. The Attorney General wrote me a letter. By the way, the Attorney General is known for nearly 4 years because I gave enormous evidence. The 5th of August 2011, the Attorney General writes to me, I note that you have brought your concerns to the attention of the Department of Agriculture and other relevant statutory bodies with jurisdiction in this area. But all the bodies that I contacted, the department, Horse Racing Ireland, the Turf Club, none of them said they had jurisdiction. They all passed the buck. Someone else was responsible. This is what went on. Bear with me one moment, because who else knew about all of this? The Minister for Finance, the Minister for Public Expenditure and Reform, Brendan Howland. Here's an honest man's letter. I have to applaud the integrity of the Secretary General of the Department of Finance, John A. Morden, wrote to me on the 21st of June 2013. In this letter, he says, "I wish to inform you that since the split in the departments into the Department of Public Expenditure and Reform and the Department of Finance, my department no longer has statutory responsibility or statutory role in individual department spending. Your letter has been forwarded to the Department of Public Expenditure and Reform, the Department of Agriculture and the Controller and Auditor General, who are the more appropriate bodies to deal with your issues. It is necessary that you contact one of these bodies, which have government statutory responsibilities to investigate your issues." I applaud Johnny Morton. But Minister Noonan obviously overruled. Minister Howland overruled. The Taoiseach overruled. Minister Coveney overruled. And the public money wrongdoing went on. The Attorney General knew all about it. Now I get to a very important issue. Let me bring you forward to 2015, the 14th of May 2015. This will surprise and may even shock a lot of people, because it certainly shocked me. I sent an 11-page file, the 12th of the 5th, 2015, to the Justice Committee for Justice and Equality, care of the clerk, Alan Guyden. Alan Guyden sent me back the whole 11-page document in good covering letter. This will surprise you. This letter, the 14th of May 2015. I also remind you that Section 19 of the Criminal Justice Act 2011 states that if a person has information which may be of material assistance in A, preventing the commission by any other person of a relevant offence, or B, securing the apprehension, prosecution or conviction of any other person for a relevant offence, the person is obliged to pass that information to an Garda Síochána. Well, it's an awful pity Alan Guyden didn't swallow the same tablet medicine he was giving me, because when I gave him 11-page file with evidence, dated the 12th to the 5th, Alan Guyden should have took his own medicine and gave that to the Garda Síochána. Why didn't the Taoiseach and the Kenny give the paperwork to the Garda Síochána? Why didn't Minister Howland, Minister Noonan, Minister Coveney and the Department of Agriculture give it over? All the evidence that they had, which Section 19 of the Criminal Justice Act says their obligations. In other words, William Treacy, the victim of the wrongdoing, and his animals the victim, William Treacy was to do the job of a minister and a Taoiseach, Attorney General, Chief State Solicitors, the whole lock, stock and barrel who knew about it. It was my job to protect public money. It was my job to bring about that the people involved in wrongdoing were held accountable. I'm sorry, Alan Guyden. I'm sorry, Taoiseach. I'm sorry, Attorney General. I'm sorry, Ministers. That was not my responsibility. But I certainly carried out my responsibility when I gave all the evidence over to you over 4 years, and ye blackguarded me, victimised me, covered up, concealed my case. What was included in the 11-page file? Let me tell you what was included. This will further surprise you. For 3.5 years I was writing to Minister Alan Chatter, the Minister for Justice and Equality. I ended up writing to Minister Francis Fitzgerald. And because they just kept passing the buck, sending my correspondence elsewhere. I asked, there was a new independent justice review body of senior counsels and barristers set up in 2014. I asked for all my case files to be handed over to the new independent justice review body. The 21st of November 2014. This is the Private Secretary to Minister Francis Fitzgerald. I wish to acknowledge receipt of your letter the 13th of November, in which you requested being included in the Garda independent review mechanism. Your letter has now been forwarded to the relevant officials within the department. I was led to believe from November 2014 right up until April this year that my case was waiting to come up. It was one of 300 cases. And when I sought an update in April, and I sought an update in writing, to my horror, to my shock, the same private secretary to Minister Francis Fitzgerald wrote me a letter the 29th of April 2015 and now tells me that my file wasn't included in this new independent review mechanism at all. So here we have a minister who, under Section 19 of the Criminal Justice Act 2011, according to Alan Guiden, the Clerk of the Justice Committee on Justice, has been engaged in the concealment of evidence of wrongdoing and possibly criminality. This is the minister. These two letters, by the way, I can inform you, I sent them myself personally to the DPP. Again, I suspect there'll nothing happen there either. I sent 3 files over the last few months to the Director of Public Prosecutions myself. So, where does one end up? Where am I supposed to go? I'm in a situation where my animals can't participate in racing. The people involved in the wrongdoing, and talk about wrongdoing. There was another gentleman. You remember the letter the 21st of June 2000 that I told you an honourable man, John A. Morden, wrote to me telling me that it was the responsibility of the Minister for Public Expenditure and Reform, Minister Coveney, and the Controller and Auditor General. Well, lo and behold, I wrote to the Controller and Auditor General for months and months and months and months in 2013. And I pointed out to the Controller and Auditor General that there was a €200,000 wrongdoing went on. And the audits that the Controller and Auditor General done, the Controller and Auditor General identifies it, the €200,000 at Tipperary Racecourse, where they needed the Minister's permission, and horse racing in Ireland didn't seek it. They went ahead anyway. The Public Accounts Committee were aware of that, and they never done that either. So you, the public, your money has been paid, and no accountability. This racing industry has been let do what it like since 2001, since it was set up by a minister and others, for what I can only believe was the interest of a certain few, and certainly not for the interest of, or the well-being of racehorses, which, by the way, is the nucleus of a racing industry, the horse. Well, look what happened. My horses, you've seen some of it in the video. I spoke to you about more of it. Let me tell you, you haven't heard the end of this yet, because there are more horses, which I will tell you about, more people involved in this wrongdoing, which I will tell you about. So, again, watch out for the next video.